Hello everyone, welcome back to the PulmoCare ICU series. I am Dr. Kalim Khan. In the previous chapter, we discussed the basics of mechanical ventilation, what it is, why it is used, and its goals. Today, before we learn ventilator modes and settings, we must understand one of the most important topics in critical care medicine: respiratory physiology and lung mechanics. Remember this important principle. If you understand how the normal lungs work, you will easily understand how a ventilator works. Every ventilator setting is based on respiratory physiology. Let's begin with the primary function of the respiratory system. The lungs have two major responsibilities. The first is oxygenation and the second is ventilation. Oxygenation means delivering oxygen from the atmosphere into the bloodstream. Ventilation means removing carbon dioxide produced by the body's metabolism. Understanding these processes is key to respiratory care. When either of these functions fails, respiratory failure develops and mechanical ventilation may become necessary. Now let's discuss the mechanics of breathing. During normal inspiration, the diaphragm contracts and moves downward while the external intercostal muscles expand the chest wall. This increases the volume of the thoracic cavity and creates negative pressure inside the lungs. Because air always moves from an area of higher pressure to an area of lower pressure, air naturally flows into the lungs. During expiration, the diaphragm relaxes and the lungs recoil due to their natural elastic properties. This decreases the thoracic volume, causing air to flow out of the lungs. Normal expiration is therefore a passive process. Mechanical ventilation works differently. Instead of creating negative pressure, the ventilator generates positive pressure that pushes air into the lungs. This is essential in critical care. This is the fundamental difference between spontaneous breathing and mechanical ventilation. In spontaneous breathing, negative pressure draws air into the lungs. Mechanical ventilation uses positive pressure to deliver air. It is essential to remember. Now let us discuss lung compliance. Compliance refers to the ability of the lungs and chest wall to expand when pressure is applied. In simple words, compliance tells us how easily the lungs inflate. High compliance means the lungs are easy to inflate. This is commonly seen in diseases such as emphysema, where the lungs become overly compliant due to loss of elastic tissue. Low compliance means the lungs are stiff and difficult to inflate. This occurs in conditions such as acute respiratory distress syndrome, pulmonary fibrosis, pulmonary edema, and severe pneumonia. In these patients, higher pressures may be required to deliver the same tidal volume. Another important concept is airway resistance. Airway resistance is the opposition to airflow within the respiratory tract. The narrower the airway, the greater the resistance. Conditions such as asthma, COPD, mucus plugging, bronchospasm, or a kinked endotracheal tube increase airway resistance, making ventilation more difficult. This makes ventilation more challenging in clinical practice. Now let's understand the work of breathing. The work of breathing is the amount of energy required to inhale and exhale. In healthy individuals, this energy requirement is relatively low. However, in diseases with increased airway resistance or reduced lung compliance, patients must work much harder to breathe. This increased effort eventually leads to respiratory muscle fatigue and respiratory failure. This is one of the major reasons for initiating mechanical ventilation. Next, let's discuss tidal volume and minute ventilation. Tidal volume is the amount of air inhaled or exhaled during one normal breath. In adults, it is usually around 6 to 8 mL per kilogram of predicted body weight. Minute ventilation is the total volume of air entering or leaving the lungs in 1 minute. It is calculated by multiplying tidal volume by respiratory rate. Maintaining adequate minute ventilation is essential for proper carbon dioxide elimination. This ensures effective gas exchange in the lungs. Another important concept is dead space. Dead space refers to the portion of inspired air that does not participate in gas exchange. Anatomical dead space includes the nose, mouth, trachea, and bronchi. Physiological dead space increases in diseases such as pulmonary embolism and severe lung injury. Increased dead space reduces the efficiency of ventilation and often requires adjustments in ventilator settings. Finally, let us understand gas exchange. Gas exchange occurs in the alveoli, where oxygen diffuses into the pulmonary capillaries while carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood into the alveoli. Efficient gas exchange depends on healthy alveoli, adequate blood flow, and proper matching between ventilation and perfusion, commonly known as the VQ ratio. Disturbances in this balance result in hypoxemia and respiratory failure. Now let us summarize today's lecture. The respiratory system performs two essential functions: oxygenation and ventilation. Normal breathing occurs through negative pressure inspiration, whereas mechanical ventilation uses positive pressure to inflate the lungs. Lung compliance determines how easily the lungs expand. Airway resistance affects airflow. The work of breathing increases when either compliance decreases or resistance increases. Understanding tidal volume, minute ventilation, dead space, and gas exchange is essential before learning ventilator settings. These physiological principles are the foundation of mechanical ventilation. If you understand them thoroughly, selecting ventilator modes, adjusting settings, and managing critically ill patients will become much easier. Let us explore these concepts further. In the next chapter, we will discuss indications and contraindications of mechanical ventilation. We will learn exactly when a patient should be placed on a ventilator, when it should be avoided, and how to make safe clinical decisions in the ICU. Thank you for attending today's lecture. If you found this session helpful, please like, subscribe, and share the PulmoCare channel with your colleagues. I am Dr. Kalim Khan, and I will see you in the next chapter. Until then, keep learning, keep questioning.